Looking like you're losing is sometimes you on the way to actually winning. I won't say always, because sometimes you are maybe losing just because that's the circumstance, but you looking like you're losing is probably leading to you actually winning down the line.
But also getting better and experimenting and trying some things that I've never tried before. So whether it's podcasting or speaking or fitness or your career, whatever it is, if you're always trying to look good, you're in a lot of trouble because you got to fail forward.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode number 1300, one thing people get confused about when it comes to money. Today, for episode number 1301, looking like you're losing isn't always a bad thing. So one of our podcast clients that I coach one-on-one, shout out to Aaron. Aaron is a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu competitor. For those who don't know, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu it's basically like wrestling with submissions. So you can choke people, you can armbar people. It's fun. It sounds very violent, but it's called the gentle art for a reason.
Nothing like a strong arm bar.
Nothing like a strong arm bar. That is correct. I used to do Brazilian Jiu Jitsu back in the day. As you know, if you listen to this podcast, one of my early wild goals was to become a professional fighter. And one of the things that you must do if you want to be a well-rounded fighter is you must have a strong ground game. I remember going to jiu-jitsu, and this was more in the second half of my jiu-jitsu life, but it's kind of intimidating. You walk into a gym and there are a bunch of people there who are way, 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 way better than you. And the interesting thing about that type of competition is everybody has a colored belt. So a white belt is a newbie, then it goes blue belt, then it goes purple belt, then I think it's brown and black belt. Black belts are the best, and they don't have to try. They can do whatever they want to you. It's easy. They are professionals. They are like the highest level grapplers. White belts are the newbies. So I remember half of the class was kind of instructional. So you go in, they say, today we're going to learn this. We're going to learn armbar. So Alan, Kevin, partner up and learn your arm bars. It's like, all right, hey, I'm Kev. Hey, I'm Alan. All right, let's do this. You slap hands and then you practice. After that, you have what's called a live roll if you want to. A live roll is kind of sparring where Alan and I are trying to submit each other, basically. So you say, all right, do you want to do takedowns? Do you want to start from your knees? How do you want to do it? All right, let's start from our knees. You slap hands and then you go. It's like, all right, I'm going to try to submit you. You're going to try to submit me. The problem I had was
kind of like this podcast.
Yeah, kind of like this podcast.
I'm kidding.
The problem I had was when we were learning, what's the word I'm looking for? Techniques. I would always only do the side that I was really good at. So there's certain chokes that I'm really good at, but I have no idea how to do them from my left side. No idea. Couldn't do it. If you said, do that, Kev, I couldn't do it. I don't know how to do it because I was so afraid to look like I was losing that I always wanted to look like I knew exactly what was going on. Now to this day, if I was trying to teach somebody those chokes, I don't know how to do it because my ego, and this is what I told Aaron, we were talking about jiu-jitsu recently. I said, yeah, if I could go back and do it over, I would have far less ego and far less fear of judgment because I always wanted to look good. I didn't really care about getting good. I wanted to look good. I didn't want to look incompetent. I didn't want to say, oh, let me try that again. I don't know. For some reason, this just isn't making sense. So instead, I always went to what my strengths were. And there's a million analogies for this in the gym or in relationships or when it comes to money. I remember this was really hard for me, Alan, back in the day. We would do a live podcast every single week. And I remember Alan saying one day, he's like, Kev, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. These are the practices from when we're on stage. And I remember thinking, I don't know, man. I want these to go right. I don't ever want to look like we're losing in public. I don't ever want to look like we're losing. So that helped me connect to the jiu-jitsu story as well. So the theme of this episode, the thought for this episode didn't really start there for me. It started from a place of, if you want to win in the long run, you have to be very humble in the short run, where I know people who are traveling all over the world and they look way more successful than Alan and I. It doesn't necessarily mean they're more successful. What it means is we might be looking like we're losing today, but that just might mean we're going to win bigger in the future, or we're going to win differently in the future. So that's really where this episode came from. But I thought the jiu-jitsu would be a good little connection.
So Kev, you and I have talked a bit lately. Kev, what's happening?
Nothing.
How are you?
We have talked a bit lately. Too much.
Too much. We've talked a bit lately about fitness and the challenges of some of our past videos and photos of us getting after it. So Kevin and I, we had Next Level Live, and it was in Worcester, and we went to our old stomping grounds, Crunch Fitness in Worcester. We went back, and the reflection was slightly different. True or false?
True. It's a fact.
Slightly different than what back in the day when we used to frequent Crunch Fitness. And so that's been challenging, right? We look back at our past selves and we usually are like, wow, I didn't really know a lot back then compared to now, or I didn't read as many books as I do now, or, you know, maybe I've grown so much. And we've all had that experience where it's like, oh, I've grown so much. Like, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe I did that. Like, wow, I was so ignorant back then compared to now. I've grown so much. When we look at the business, when we look at the marketing of Hyperconscious Podcast, when we look at old content, it's like, whoa, we've come so far. In fitness, we went back to an old reflection, or an old mirror, and we saw a different reflection. And it wasn't necessarily a better one, at least in terms of fitness. We're older now. We're more focused on business. We've got all this going on. So anyways, I'm in the gym with Emilia, and I'm not nearly as strong as I once was. Kev made this joke on stage at Next Level Live a bunch of times. I ain't as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was.
Mm-hmm. It's a country song that Alan and I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't really get it. So we said it a couple times. We got some good laughs for that.
Get some good laughs. Well, I'm in the gym with Emilia, and I have this moment where I'm debating whether or not I want to look good or I want to actually get better, right? And so I decided to try to get better. And I put 185 pounds on the bar for a bench press. And for me, back in the day, 185 was not a problem. I used to hammer that for 12, 15 reps. It was a big deal. It was no big deal, rather. I'm telling you, it felt like I was lifting a truck. It was brutal. Emilia was spotting me. And now, mind you, I'm in the gym with Emilia. I want to look good, of course, right? Big, strong man, Alan, right? No, absolutely not. The first one, she ended up grabbing it a little too quick because she could tell I was struggle bus. And then the last one, I literally had to yell out help because she has her AirPods in and so do I. And I help. You know that moment, man? In the gym. Great. There's a lot of young guns in my gym. It was not a cred building moment for me. And I also don't look like out of shape or anything. So in their head, you know, there's one kid in there who's half my size lifting 225 for like reps, and it doesn't make any sense to me, right? I've never been super strong. But the point of this is this. I shared this with a training earlier I did today. I said, listen, this whole perfection thing is nonsense. Yes, we want to look good on social media. I said, yes, I'm dressed nicely for this training. I've got awards in the background and books, and my hair is done up. Of course, we want to present ourselves in a way that looks good. I understand that. That's human nature. That's okay, right? You're not going to trust your heart surgeon if they show up in a hoodie and khakis or a hoodie and sweatpants as much as when they're dressed up. I get it, okay? That's human nature. You want to see a doctor in a surgeon's uniform. That's okay. Just like you want to see a police officer in a uniform or whatever. So we all want to look good, okay? I've never met a human who doesn't care, at least to some extent, about looking good. All right. The question is not whether or not you want to look good. The question is that the most important thing? And I told them on this training, I said, listen, I'm here. My goal, my intention here on this training is to share some things privately behind the scenes that I normally don't, to be vulnerable, to be honest, and yeah, I showed up and I've got this nice backdrop and I've got this nice camera and I'm a podcaster and we're doing well and we're inspiring people. And I really, really am grateful for all of that. And trust me, it was not always that way. So I really am grateful for that. But I'm not going to lie to you. This morning, I want you to know something. This morning, I woke up. My kitten, Tariel, had diarrhea and got it all over her. And so here I am dressed up, ready for this training, and I've got this nice presentation prepared for everybody. But this morning I was in a tub, naked, with a cat and a dog simultaneously, with crap all over me. And I said, that is a lot of what life is like. This whole perfection thing is just not real. I said, I've done 4,000 plus coaching calls with people all over the world, and I promise you, no one's life is as good as they portray, including mine. No one's. And so here's the deal. You can spend the rest of your life trying to look good, and we all do it. But if you're doing it at the expense of getting better, I promise you, you will not be as well off as you will be if you're willing to look silly and ask for help when the bar is almost crushing your chest because you're trying to get stronger. So no, I'm not perfect. No, Kevin's not perfect. We want to pull back the curtain on that, and we're getting better, and we're being vulnerable and honest, and we're trying things that are outside of our current capabilities. I certainly was with 185 pounds, apparently. But that's how you get better. You give it a shot, and you, sometimes you're embarrassed. That was embarrassing. Her having to basically lift the weight, right?
I can imagine, yeah.
Of course, it's an embarrassing moment, but now I know, and I'm going to get stronger, and at least I tried, and I wish more people thought that way. I certainly try to think that way. So
same.
So group coaching was definitely an experience for me. Getting to know the people was really, really cool. Everybody's kind of moving towards the same goal. And I definitely started to see the value in what Kevin and Alan were presenting to us. PPT for me was something that was really huge. I was looking for a system to help me kind of keep track of the things that I had to do every day to make sure that I was productive. I feel like I got so much value out of it, and I am so grateful that I took the leap and I decided to join.
It's almost like the thing that you avoid is the thing that you get worse at. And then you can almost kid yourself into thinking it's not bad. It's like, well, I haven't done that exercise. Well, why didn't you start doing the exercise? Oh, I'm not really good at it. It's like that's a running joke in the bodybuilding community is some people just don't do legs because doing legs sucks. It's the worst. So they'll just say, well, rather than starting from scratch and looking potentially embarrassing, squatting a certain amount of weight or whatever it may be, that's a huge thing. Or asking for help. Oh, I think we should do an episode on that at some point. But asking for help, you're looking like you're losing potentially. So that's a whole nother thing. It's very challenging though. I can completely understand because I think as human beings, we are drawn to what we're best at. You want to show up. You want to show up shiny, and you want to show up put together. And I have those moments where it's like, I'm going to go to the gym and do whatever day it is. It's like, it's my weakest day. Mm-hmm. I remember that, especially when I was younger, that was really hard. I used to hate doing chest day. It was my least favorite day because I was super weak, but I loved shoulders because I was super strong. And I loved legs because I was super strong. That's the interesting thing.
But then go figure, your chest was your weak point.
Right. Of course.
And that was my strong point, but legs weren't, right? And you loved doing legs. So it's our weaknesses get weaker when we avoid them.
Yeah. You can't hide from them.
Not forever.
Yeah, you can't hide from them. It's not, I guess in the moment it probably seems empowering. But eventually there's going to be something that happens where you realize, oh no, that insecurity that I didn't pour into because I was insecure has become more of an insecurity. And now there's a light shined on it. And wow, I wasn't prepared for that. So just another necessity, just another reason to try to be the most well-rounded human you can be. And I'm talking to myself, and I'm talking to Alan, and Alan's talking to himself, and he's talking to me when we say this, because I think all humans do this. I think you and I are very blessed because we get the opportunity to kind of get out there and try a bunch of stuff, especially with speaking. So we're not always, at the event at Next Level Live, I had moments where it was like, I don't really know what the hell I'm going to say next, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. Like, it's not, will I have a flop when it comes to a joke? Yeah, maybe. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. I get to do this again tomorrow when I speak on a podcast or whatever it is. So yeah, understanding that looking like you're losing is probably, is sometimes you on the way to actually winning. I won't say always, because sometimes you are maybe losing just because that's the circumstance. But you looking like you're losing is probably leading to you actually winning down the line.
Are you optimizing for looking good or being good? Optimizing for looking good is the person who is more focused on doing the workouts that they're already good at. The person who's optimizing for getting better is okay looking like they're struggling. And I think, and this will be the last thing that I share, Amy L. does trainings, that department. And shout out to Becca. Becca, if you're listening, thank you so much for having me. It was awesome. There was like 8 or so. It was an intimate setting. It was really good. And after it, we did an experience review like we always do. What went well, what didn't go so well. And Amy L. was like, what'd you think? And I said, on the macro, that was really powerful. For me as a communicator, that I was experimenting with some stuff. But I'm going to be honest, I experimented sharing some things I've never shared, and it was difficult to share some of those things, the way I opened it about my father's death and some different things that happened in my childhood. But I was experimenting with a smaller group so that one day, when it's a huge public setting, I will have already practiced some of those things. So I'm not doing it for the first time because I got to figure out, okay, well, that did land, that kind of didn't. And then I got feedback, and it's maybe you don't have to always focus on your weaknesses in public when everyone's watching. Maybe you can practice those things behind the scenes to try to get good. And then when it's Super Bowl Sunday, give your strengths, show off your greatness, not in a negative way, but, but I think behind the scenes, you really do have to kind of be really humble about what your weaknesses are and figure out like where you need to shore up your competence. And like mobility, for example. Mobility, it's a pain in the butt. I don't like doing it, but that moment in the gym, I would be stronger if I was doing more mobility. I've actually done some more mobility lately, so I'm grateful for that. But you want to be stronger? Okay, are you sleeping well when no one's watching? Are you doing mobility when it sucks and all that kind of stuff? So you got to pick and choose. Kev, you're the one who shared this with me. You said you can't always be taking cred hits. Sometimes you do got to show up with the W, right? And because other people don't know that you're actually going to eventually be better. And that's why I said when it comes to the micro of Becca and Becca's community, I think it probably wasn't my best, even though I do think it was kind of like bench pressing weight that I can't handle yet. And I don't think it was bad necessarily, but I wasn't optimizing for just that moment. I was optimizing for me adding value as much as I can to her community, but also getting better and experimenting and trying some things that I've never tried before. So whether it's podcasting or speaking or fitness or your career, whatever it is, if you're always trying to look good, you're in a lot of trouble because you got to fail forward.
Yeah, you're only building one pillar of the building. For me, I'm really good at this submission, but nothing else. Like, well, if I don't get that submission, I am Jeffed.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to be in some deep trouble.
Oh, so. You got out of my arm bar. I'm screwed.
Now you win by default.
Win. Yeah, exactly.
Next level nation. If you are feeling like you're losing.
I just pictured Kev doing jiu-jitsu. The person gets out of his arm bar and then he just realizes he lost the fight. He jumps out of the ring. He just runs away.
Oh, rats.
Rats.
Not again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, I was pretty good at. I was naturally pretty good at jiu-jitsu, which was. But again, that's the other thing too, right? Is like, if you can win by default, are you really going to put yourself in positions where you're actually losing?
Just stay on Kevin's left.
Yeah. That's my bad eye too. So not only will I not be able to see you, but I'm not going to be able to submit you either.
Yeah, just stay on Kevin's left. You'll win the fight. All
right, we got to go because you and I have a meetup tonight. If you feel like you are struggling, if you feel like you're losing and not making progress, if you feel like you're not where you want to get and you're not having a community around you that's helping you, please join our private Facebook group, Next Level Nation. Link will be in the show notes.
If you're listening to this, it is Sunday, which means that Group 10 is closing tomorrow, Monday at midnight, which is April 10th. Most likely, it's already filled. I'm trying to lock down some of the onboarding right now, but DM Kevin or myself, there might be a spot or two available. We have a promo code for listeners only of this show. Reach out, DM us, email us immediately. We might be able to squeeze you in. And if not, there is Group 11, but it's not starting until it doesn't start until the end of Q2. So it doesn't start until the beginning of Q3, essentially. So get in now if you can. Either way, DM us and let us know.
Next Level Nation tomorrow for episode number 1302. Kind of what we were just talking about, but on a much different plane. You'll never learn from what you don't like. I have a very good client story about that. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Signing off. Next Level Nation.